Okay, here we go. So, last couple of weeks I've been talking about networking. I'm going to kind of finish up with that tonight. So, do you have any questions about networking? We can start with.
This time just build upon the past 2 weeks, the process that you had, some of the stuff you went through, and now move on to the next level.
Okay, good. So the most valuable thing is, no pun intended, is a valuable final product. So what that means is that you have a final product that's something that is finished, right? So my normal example is if I have this pen and you pay me $10 for it, the $10 is less valuable to you than the pen, because you gave me your hard-earned cash, you got the pen, okay? So any business, any person, anything that's involved with money has to look at a valuable final product. Because the only way you can get more money or less money is to have more valuable final products or less valuable final products. Or have a final product that's not valuable. Okay, so can you think of one that isn't, like a valuable final product that's not, like a product that's put together and it's not, and it's a final product, but it's not valuable? First thing I think of is taxes. You know, it's like something you have to pay for, but it's not valuable.
Not to us because it's an output.
Right.
As opposed to somebody who would benefit from it, which would be their input.
Right. So the government or politicians have made that their final product is taxes, so they could pay for supposedly roads and schools and all that kind of stuff. Right. Which I get some of that, and I get that there has to be some exchange, but I think they've taken it too far, and I think most Americans would feel the same way.
Yeah, and they slice it up into way too many things.
Right. So there's no real exchange perceived there. Okay, so
it's like a lot of times they only seem to produce just tax stuff. They don't seem to produce anything else. It's just stalled in there. They go to Washington, the only time you see them is during the election cycle, and they start saying, "Hey, remember me?"
Right.
That's what I say.
Right.
That's not valuable.
So you bring up a very, very valuable point, because I'm a marketing guy, and I have clients that go anywhere from, you know, they make $4,000 or $5,000 a month to clients that I got to $300,000 or $400,000 a month. Okay, so the interesting thing is that I just actually went through this because I just lost a client for my search engine optimization business. And my wife, Pam, who's a consultant, when she asked me what happened, my answer was, I hadn't been in good communication with this client for the last 3 months. So sometimes you have a valuable final product, but you're not communicating it well. Okay. So just like when you're looking for new clients, you got your game on. You're putting your best foot forward. It's kind of like dating a girl or dating a guy the first time. You're putting your best foot forward, right?
Those little extras and making sure things are taken care of and things like that.
Yeah, you're paying attention to detail. Right? When you start running a business, what happens is the bigger the business gets, the more problems that show up because you're not organized. So your attention's all on the organization. So when we look at stages of a business, the first stage of a business is that you yourself are getting the product. You yourself are developing the product. You're probably good at what you do, and you figured out how to sell it to a certain degree, and then you get up to a point where you figured out how to sell it so much that now you have to hire other people, which is a stage 2.
So sell it to yourself first to make sure you have it, and then sell it on your own to somebody else.
Yeah, it's just a natural course. You know, when you start your business, you'll sell 1 or 2 of them and then deliver, and then you'll sell 3 or 4 of them and then deliver, and then if it's got any value to it, after a while, what will happen is you'll sell more than what you can deliver. Or it will go viral to a degree, you know, because your customers are so happy that they'll start getting other customers and referrals and it'll happen. So you go into a stage 2, and there's 4 stages, and we can cover that another time, but stage 2 is where you start getting other employees to start delivering what goes on. Now, when you get to that stage and you have other people delivering your products or making your products, now you have to be organized, because you're no longer doing it, or if you're doing it, you're doing it at arm's length. Okay? So the further you get away from arm's length management, or as we call micromanagement, the more apt you are to have products that are not the exact value of the product that you originally intended as an owner.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Because others are doing it and they may not have the passion you have. There's a lot of things that will happen. Okay? So the reason why I'm going off on all this whole tangent is because you could have a final product that's not a final product. It's actually, what is the word I want? It is a
Tangent there?
no. It's more like it's a transgression. It's like it's a product that's not complete.
You talk about stage 1 or stage 2?
In a stage 2, well, it can happen anywhere, but you can have a final product that's not 100% complete.
Okay. All right.
You know, like suppose you had a mechanical, let's say you had a car. Right?
Yeah, yeah.
And you put the car together and you deliver the car, but there's loose bolts and things are rattling. I have a friend of mine that's a pro bass fisherman. I mean, this guy is totally into it. He's got a boat that costs $100,000 or $80,000 or something like that. He just bought it last year.
Mm-hmm.
This year, I've been, you know, he's at the smoke shop with me. We smoke cigars together, and he's like got every swear word in the world for this $80,000 boat that he got. It's 1 year old, and he says he's driving the boat. Now these guys, this boat does 75 miles an hour on the water. It's got 250 horse motor on it.
Mm-hmm.
He's bitching and complaining because he's like the doors on the hatches are not lining up. You know, the dashboard's rattling. You know, he's like, screw that boat. He's going to buy a $100,000, $125,000 boat now because the final product was not a good one. It didn't last. Still paying for the boat. You see, so right away that manufacturer he's got sour taste in his mouth for the manufacturer. Right. So that happens. Okay, so you have to make sure that if you're working for a company and you're like their salesperson or you're out networking for them and getting paid to get leads, that the final product is really a final product. Sometimes it's so final and it's such a good product that it becomes valuable on its own. You know, like I keep going back to the automobile, but an automobile is like that. I mean, think of it this way. Henry Ford's been noted to quote, I'm sorry I keep going back to cars because that's just my whole life. Henry Ford has been known to quote, if I gave the people what they wanted, we would have had faster horses. Because that's all they had was horses. Nobody thought of building an automobile, or it wasn't an automobile. From 1893 to 1904, they were called horseless carriages. Horseless carriages. They weren't automobiles until 1905, 1906, and they started calling them automobiles or cars. Okay. Actually, Oldsmobile was the first one that came out with the mobile.
Was it really?
Yeah. 1902 or something like that. Anyway, so the point is that sometimes you bring into a marketplace something, you're filling a void for something that's needed and wanted. You're solving a problem that's needed and wanted. You know, like electricity's that way, air conditioning's that way. You know, there's a lot of things that fill a void. Anyways, I'm way off on that tangent. So the point is that you want to have a final product that's considered valuable. Once you have that, now you can get into your elevator pitch and the 4 ways that you're going to do this in a networking meeting. Okay? And those 4 ways, I'm not going to write them on the board tonight. Those 4 ways are figure out where like-minded people are for the BFP, not for the product, not for you. So if you're networking and you think that you got to do something Like if I was gonna promote a pen, and I was the promoter, I have to make sure that I'm in like-minded people for whoever would use the pen. Right? That's the first thing. The second thing is figure out what your VFP is, right, which is what we're talking about, and what people are going to pay for it. Okay? Now, what I want to talk about tonight is this exact point, which I brought up last week. I'm going to come back to this. I'm going to just do the other two so I don't get distracted there. And then I'm going to come back to number 2, which is introductory services. Okay? So number 3 is figure out what your introductory service is and then deliver it. Okay? So we're going to talk about 2 and 3. And now make your elevator pitch so it's 1 or 2 paragraphs. Okay, so basically, elevator pitch means you get in an elevator with somebody, you go to the 5th floor, you got 1 or 2 minutes to tell them when they say to you, what do you do? Oh, I'm a Google partner and I help them get ranked in Google. Or I'm a Google partner, I help them get found, I help people get their businesses found in Google. Last week I told you one of the things that I say a lot of times is a lot of people have websites that talk, but nobody's listening. So I'm a Google partner and help them get found. You know, it explains what I do. Now, some people that may not be valuable, some people it will be.
Yeah, you're targeting, we're trying to find or have a conversation with one that does want to do that.
I mean, maybe I'm on the elevator with some person that, and you know, she's a salesperson or it has nothing to do with getting leads, or maybe not a salesperson, but maybe the secretary or the bookkeeper or something. They don't have nothing to do with that. You know what I mean? But a lot of people want to get that. Okay, so all does this make sense? Does all of this make sense?
So good.
No, I'm not tripping over the tongue. So here's what I want to talk about tonight. Now that we recapped. What is an introductory service? Any idea?
That's where you would provide, make available your DSP at the onset to get them introduced to it, but either at no or little cost, with either an introductory rate or a gift or something along those lines.
Right. So very good. So an introductory or service is a test drive. What's that?
There you go.
So the biggest mistake that I have run into when I'm doing marketing with people, with my clients, and I'm working with my clients, and trying to get them new business, is this introductory service. So very often what will happen is the business owner will be a little bit lazy about it. Maybe that's not lazy, but they just don't know how to do it the correct way, so they'll take the shortcut. The shortcut is if you're selling, say, a haircut for $150 in a salon, like Lenny does. The introductory service will be get $25 off and come in and try us out.
And it's totally up to you about whatever introductory service you think of.
Could be whatever, but the point is you're reducing the value of your overall valuable final product for the test drive.
Of which the people using it would interpret that as dropping their price. It's just more of a way to try it out.
Right.
And the difference between dropping your price to get somebody in there and keeping it there versus just saying, take it and try it out.
Right. Okay. So this is okay, and I do tend to advocate this at certain points. The first thing that happens is, well, Groupon. Everybody know what Groupon is? So that's the online coupon system where you split with coupons. So if I was selling a $100 item, they get 50, I get 50, I deliver the service. Coupon gets paid 50 for finding clients and getting them coming. I get a lot of people that don't like that company. And upon investigation, one for one, what I find out is that they have a misconception of what Groupon is supposed to do. See, Groupon's job is to get that customer to you or introduce them to you so you can deliver the service.
Lead generator.
It's a lead generator, that's right. So when that person comes in this particular case, like with the salon, the person comes into the salon, it's up to the salon to razzle them, dazzle them, and then upsell them or rebook them for another appointment. And that always gets missed in any cycle like this. So the reason why I'm telling you this is because if you're going to go out and you're going to be doing networking with some of the platforms that I spoke about, which I'll go over in a minute, your job is not to sell the people in the networking meetings your full product. Because what will happen is you'll scare people away because they're not enlightened enough that it's valuable. You might have to enlighten them. And the word enlighten means to take somebody from a certain level and bring them up to another level with information so they understand it more. So their power of choice is much stronger. It's more self-determined because they now have information that they can use to make the decision. Right? This is no different than the vacuum salesman coming to somebody's house, knocking on the door, coming in the house and pouring dirt on the floor and taking the vacuum cleaner and showing them how it works. They're so impressed that they buy the vacuum cleaner. That's an introductory service. Okay? So tonight's lesson, the point of tonight's lesson is this. In your networking and your client acquisition, which is new client acquisition, this is not necessarily true for current client acquisition or current client repeats. Because once you have a client acquisition, then they're a client and they stay that way. So we treat them different, is what I'm trying to say. Mm-hmm. You should not be selling your services. You should be selling information. So my example of this, as you've heard me talk about before, is if you have a plumber and he's got a potential client base of 100 people, well, maybe at any given time, 4, 5, or 6 of them will have a leak. So if he's selling services, which is I can plug your leak, he's only going to have 4, 5, 6 people at any given time to talk to. It doesn't take much for a holiday to come along and thwart those 4 or 5 or 6 people down to 1 or 2. Because they'll want to put off whatever it is because maybe it's not really that bad, they got a bucket under it, and they can get through Christmas or get through Labor Day because they'd rather go away.
Other priorities.
Right. What I'm telling you to do is to sell information. So if you sell information like how not to have a leak or how to prevent leaks, now all of a sudden you're talking to the 100 people because everybody has a reason to listen. By inventing or creating content, which I'm going to talk about in a minute, by creating content on how to prevent leaks or prevent calling a plumber, which is a little backwards, some people can't wrap their wits around that, you become the opinion leader of 100 people. Because you're helping them not have a leak. The truth of the matter is they are going to have leaks. Because those 5 or 6 people are going to have a leak. Most people won't take your advice anyways. They'll listen to you and just know that you're smart, but not actually do it. So now, if you're promoting information instead of the service, now you just took your audience from 5 or 6 people, 4 or 5 or 6 people, up to 100. Now, when there's a leak, or a guy's in a party and he's talking to his friend, he's like, I got a leak. Oh my God, there's this guy. He's really smart. You know, I've read a lot of his stuff. He's always, you know, he's got videos. He's got this. I've seen him do this. You got to call him. You now become the opinion.
People receiving or reading the information become the opinion.
No. I'm the plumber, and I'm constantly giving information about how not to have leaks and how not to have a clogged sink and how to have maintenance. So now the person that's receiving the information sees me as an opinion leader. I'm like the best plumber.
Oh, okay.
Because I'm giving them information.
It moves along the way.
Right.
You as a plumber tell somebody you become the opinion leader. They learn from it. They pass it on to somebody. So now
You never know. You never know. The point is that I'm in front of all 100 people now. I have a reason to talk to all 100 people because now what I'm saying is, hey, prevent the clog in your toilet. Prevent, get the hair out of your sink trap. Don't have a leak, Drain your hot water heater once in a while. Like I go to a network meeting last week and the plumber stood up, you know what he said? It's September, winter's coming, here's what you need to do. Get a garden hose, put it on the bottom of your hot water tank, let it run for 3 or 4 minutes, get all that sediment from the bottom of your water tank, because that's what rots out water tanks. So get rid of the sediment on the bottom of the water tank, let it run, put it in a 5-gallon bucket, empty it outside, whatever you got to do, get it out of there. And oh yeah, by the way, some of you probably have plastic valves. Be careful of those because they might break. If they do break, or if you want me to come take a look at the sediment, let me know and I'll stop by, no problem. Perfect.
Got it.
Perfect. Okay? So here's my point. Instead of selling your valuable final product for a lesser price, what you're better off to do is to generate this content that's helpful for people to prevent them from using your product. And it sounds backwards, but it works well.
Say it one more time.
Yeah. So you're better off to give them content to prevent them from using your product.
Yeah.
It seems backwards, but they won't do it. Or you'll become the opinion leader. Now, like in my particular case, I could say, okay, don't do these, don't do these certain things in Google because otherwise you'll get slapped, right? Because I'm a search engine optimization guy, so I can say, you can't have duplicate content, don't put an exact domain match and a header and a meta tag together because it'll slap you, so there's all this content that I could put out, and I do, to prevent them from getting what they want. Now, it doesn't have to be always prevention. It could also be helpful tips, okay? Now, I can honestly tell you that probably the most valuable thing you can do is how-to videos. Yeah. How-to videos don't cost you anything. They'll cost you a little bit of time in the beginning, maybe an hour of video, 2 hours of video, whatever it is. I don't think it should take that long. I think you should just do it on your cell phone or Google Hangouts. Make some videos. I would put them on a private channel, so they have to subscribe to it. Or on your web page where they have to log into it, so you got to get their email, their name and email address so they can get into the videos. That's an introductory offer. Okay? Maybe they're videos of you showing them how to use the product. It could be something like for a plumber, actually videotaping 10 minutes where he's underneath the sink, taking the trap apart and cleaning the trap out and showing them how to do it. Right? How to go to the water heater, like I just talked about, and drain the hot water heater and why you would do it.
And with something like that, though, you have to determine you have to decide on what your EFP will be to see if people just say, I'm not going to go through that trouble. No, go find something that's free. Something along those lines.
Yeah.
So that goes back to Making sure
It's
it's
backwards.
somebody wants, right?
So yes, you are gonna have people that are gonna use it and not call you. The object is to get, it's a lead capturing system. Introductory services are lead capturing systems. That's a purpose for an introductory service. So whatever you do, it's an introductory service, you want to capture leads. Now, like, for example, there's a couple of things that I do because I am an internet Google partner. So the first thing I do when I go to meetups is I have a 4-page document that shows people how to register their business online with Google. It shows how to get any business indexed with Google the correct way so that Google will recognize them as a business and actually list them in their services. It's a couple, I think it's 2-page document. I said 4, 2-page document. The other thing I have is I have a checklist. And by the way, if anybody on the film here wants it, just email me. Just go to Connecticut Local SEO, and you can find me there, ConnecticutLocalSEO.com. And you can find me, and I will send you this stuff if you want. If you're watching this at a later date and you're on an email, just reply to the email. So the other thing that I have is I have a 4-page document that's a Google, how to optimize YouTube videos. So you can get a video ranked in Google for not a lot of money if you do it correctly. So I have a 4-page checklist on how to optimize your Google channel, how to optimize the video, and how to get it ranked. How to upload the video, it's a whole bunch of stuff that are just little nuances that I figured out by working with a lot of video. So it's a 4-page document, so I'll give that away as an introductory service. The other thing I do is, if you don't have your business listed with Google, for 20 bucks, I'll build you a Google Plus page. I'll optimize it and register you with Google as a business so it's done correctly for 20 bucks. The other thing I do is, you need to have social media these days. For $20 of social, if you do one for $20, I'll set up a Facebook page for you. If you want to do 2 like LinkedIn or Twitter and any of those, then it's $18 a head. And for 20 or 40 or 60 bucks, I'll set up your social network, optimize it all to your website, and it's all connected. Those are all introductory services.
Still, it's quite a bit of stuff, just gives you the road to down the place, the one traffic.
So what it does is it allows me to communicate with the customer and prove to the customer that I'm for real. I'm going to call them back. I didn't just take their money and run. I'm going to actually deliver them a product. I'm in communication with them. They can give me a little bit of money, test drive me, and still know that I can be trusted. Because that's what it comes down to. Again, they trust me. Right? I have a new campaign that I'm doing right now. Are you not advertising online because you're afraid that it'll cost you money that you won't get back? Mm-hmm. It's trust. Okay. So I have a campaign that I'm running on Facebook right now with Facebook ads that's get a free ranking. Which, by the way, again, if anybody out there, you or anybody wants a free ranking, I'll give you the URL. It's right on my webpage. You can go on there and get a free ranking. And I'll rank one thing for you, one property for you in Google, just to show you that I can rank in Google.
As long as they have a VFP on their website.
Yeah, well, they have to, well, what do I get in exchange? What I get in exchange is they're filling out a form, a 3-page form that tells me all about their business. So I know they're pre-qualifying, and I know whether they're a client I want or don't want. Am I going to deliver something to people that I don't want to have as clients? Absolutely. But that's part of the pre-screening or the pre-qualifying of my business.
They fill out all the information, so you're going to dig it out.
So I know before I actually give them the free ranking whether they're a qualified customer or not. Okay, so here's the point that I'm trying to make is, when you go to these networking meetings, these are the things that you're going to want to talk about. These introductory offers to build a relationship with that person and get their identity, and you and them start to make a relationship. The old analogy is you have to date a woman and kiss a woman before you can marry her. Right? You're just not going to meet someone, have dinner, and say, get married. I mean, though that happens on freak occasions, it's not the normal progression. So that's the old cliche there, right? So you're gonna have to get to know one another a little bit better to make sure that the relationship is good. So the best way to do that is set it up on an automaticity or something that's automatic. You know, send them to, you know, your video channel, or like I said, put your videos on a web page so that they can go behind a password protected page. You know, the other thing you can do that's real easy is create a private Facebook page for VIP members. And it's very easy to do. Just go into Facebook, set up a page, and when it asks when you're filling out the stuff, it says, do you want it to be public or private? And you can put private. So that means it's by invitation only. So now people have to actually give you their information before you'll let them into the group. But now that they're into the group, they get a bunch of information that they wouldn't get anywhere else. That's not a reduction of your valuable final product, and that's the point of tonight's lecture. Is that your introductory services should be something that you would be willing to give away, or something that you don't need to make money on. Right? Because if you're reducing your valuable final product, then you have this twinge of they're getting a discount. And I'm giving something away. And you're not getting your full exchange. So my point is instead of using that as an introductory offer, develop something that once it's made, it doesn't cost you anything, but it has a perceived value.
Almost like getting them from wherever state they're in to your common base,
Yep.
which is a subset of what your VFB would be. Like you're kind of tying all those together.
Yep. So what happens is the normal progression when I do my marketing talks is you do public relations first, then you do marketing, and then you have your sales process. This is a public relations type of a thing. What you're doing in public relations is you're gathering identities and you're building agreement with others. So if I stand up here and I talk about something that you like and you're hooked up with me, you're like, I believe what he's saying, makes total sense. I want to hear more of what he has to say. So now when I send you marketing pieces, what are you going to do? You're going to listen to my marketing because I've already connected with you and already hooked up with you. And you gave me your information so I can get more like it. And that's introductory services. This is what you should be doing in your networking. Make sense?
Oh, yeah.
So some of the websites that you can do this on are meetup.com. You can start your own group or go to other meetings. You can go to ConnecticutBusinessConnections.org. That's ConnecticutBusinessConnections.org.
Spelled out?
Yeah, Connecticut is spelled out, business spelled out, connections is spelled out, .org. BNI, B like in boy, N like in Nancy, I like in independent. CT.com. CSBNG.com. And ProMatcher.com. Last one is NetworkConnecticut.com. And these are all places where you can go meet other people once you have this system I'm talking about, where you have an introductory service and you have your elevator pitch put together. Now you know what to say to these people. Now it's just it's a matter of getting on as many networks as you can. And it goes boom. Now, I've been doing research for the last week or so on some very, 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 very awesome software that is fairly, like really inexpensive, like less than $100 for LinkedIn. So if anybody wants that information, I'm done with tonight's lecture because I gotta go, because it's been 33 minutes. If you want information on how to do networking, really, really awesome networking on LinkedIn. Well, for example, I've been running a campaign for 3 days, and I've had almost 150 people come view my page on LinkedIn in 3 days.
It's a plugin or an add-in?
It's an add-on, but it's special software. You gotta set it up a little bit. It's not hard. I can show you how to do it, but just, like I said, just go to my website if you're on the video, Connecticut Local SEO, and you can contact me there, and I'll show you how to do it. Okay? So that's it for the networking. I wrapped it up tonight. I have no idea what I'm gonna do next week, but we'll worry about that next week. All right, so come back and visit. Tuesday nights, 30 Hazel Terrace, Woodbridge, Connecticut, from 7 to 7:30 every Tuesday.